Welcome to Hoosier Homeland, an Indiana Department of Homeland Security podcast. This podcast discusses the latest news and insights in emergency management and public safety. Join us as we engage with subject matter experts and bring you the latest on how IDHS is working to provide Hoosiers with a safe, secure, and resilient Indiana. Sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Today, we are diving into a topic that affects every Hoosier: fire safety. In 2024, Indiana saw a decrease in fire fatalities, but that number is still too high. What are we doing right, and how can we continue to improve in the new year? We will speak with Indiana State Fire Marshal Steve Jones about the latest fire fatality data and what it tells us about fire risks in our state. Then, we will talk about the steps every Hoosier can take to prevent fires and protect their families in 2025. Whether you are a homeowner, renter, or just someone who wants to be more prepared, this episode is packed with information to help you stay safe. All right, let's go head out and talk to Steve Jones. Today, we're talking about fire fatalities for last year, 2024. I know that we saw a decrease in fire fatalities from 84 in 2023 to 77 in 2024. Were there any patterns or trends in the data that stood out to you, such as common causes or locations of the fatal fires?
What stands out to me, I guess, the most is our high-risk groups. Senior citizens were a high number of our fire fatalities, along with children. Our senior citizens move slower and can't react very quickly to get out. And many times the children need help getting out. Those are two things that stand out of our high-risk groups that are a high number of our fire fatalities in the state of Indiana.
So yeah, with juveniles, I noticed into the data, the fire deaths remain the same at 11. What do you think this tells us about fire efforts for children, and how can we decrease that number in 2025?
Fire alarms are still the frontline defense. Many of our fire fatalities, they either didn't have them or they didn't have batteries and they weren't working. Fire alarms, smoke detectors are still the number one thing we need to push, because our fire fatalities are showing us these are the homes that we're having our fire fatalities in. And then just doing fire drills in the home, just like they do at school, so that children, it's second nature to them on how to get out of their home, how to react appropriately to a fire alarm that's going off in the house.
Do you think this decrease is a sign of lasting improvements, or are there still concerns about fire risk across the state?
I think our risk across the state is remaining the same. Smoke detectors, we've preached it a long time, and we need to be preaching it more now than ever if we're going to make a bigger impact in having working smoke detectors in the house.
So now that we have seen a decrease in fire fatalities, what are your goals for 2025 in terms of fire prevention and safety?
One is keep preaching the message on fire alarms, smoke detectors. I think one of the things that we need to also push more is close before you doze. Doors being shut at nighttime for the bedrooms, protect people inside of those bedrooms, and keep the smoke from getting into the bedrooms. And statistics and scientifically, it proves those bedroom doors need to be shut at nighttime, so that smoke doesn't propagate into the bedrooms, and people have a better chance to get out.
Are there any new initiatives or campaigns planned to further reduce fire-related deaths and injuries in 2025?
Again, back to the basics.
Yeah.
Fire drills, closing bedroom doors, smoke alarms, and families talking about what they need to do in case of a fire. I think trying to get away on a new, it's still back to the basics, to keep people safe and have them get out safely if they have a fire occur in their home.
How does your office work with local fire departments and emergency services to promote fire safety?
We help provide safety information, smoke alarms, close before you doze, exit drills in a home, and help provide fire departments with that information. And just like we're doing now is kind of push out those statistics of our high risk groups of senior citizens and children are being the ones that are falling victim to fires in the state of Indiana.
What role does firefighter training play in reducing fatalities, both for civilians and first responders?
Well, I think we're seeing more rescues now than we ever have, because we have better trained firefighters today. It is not uncommon for firefighters to make rescues and get people out and save their life. Our fire departments are getting on the scene quicker. They're better trained. And so just that one is, we're having an impact on being able to, if anything, the reason we have maybe less fire deaths this last year, we're making more rescues. And that's back to the boots on the ground being effective in what they're doing, more effective in what they're doing. Very proud of the work the firefighters are doing. On a pretty routine basis, we hear about people being rescued by the fire department.
How do you think the Hub and Spoke program has helped that, and how is from your perspective, the Hub and Spoke program continuing to move forward into 2025?
Well, before we had these training grounds, we did not have the opportunity to put firefighters in a smoky environment, in a hot environment, until they had a fire that they had to do a rescue. These training facilities have given the opportunity to where firefighters are now more comfortable in smoky environments, being able to navigate inside of a structure, and knowing what they can and can't do with the tools that they have. We're able to get them in environments that are dangerous, but they're comfortable in those environments working. And I think more than anything, that is making our firefighters more effective than the actual residence fire with people trapped is not the first time that they're having to act, that they've done it routinely on a routine basis on the training ground in these training towers.
Are there any legislative or policy changes being considered, both statewide, nationally, that you think could help reduce fire fatalities in the next year?
Well, I think there are things out there that are currently in place on new construction that our older homes don't have. If you build a home in Indiana today, your smoke alarms have to be interconnected, so if one of them goes off, all of them go off in the house. We have a lot of homes in the state of Indiana to where they're only a single station. So the smoke detector might go off on the first floor, but it doesn't activate the smoke alarms on the second floor. I think if people are looking at the single most simple thing to help make their homes a little bit more safer is get smoke detectors that are interconnected. So if there's a fire in the basement, all of them are going off. Right now we have instances of where we have fires going on, but nobody hears the local smoke detector. So that's probably the single most thing, how people can upgrade their smoke alarms so they get a better coverage and have a better opportunity to get out.
How important is public education to you in maintaining this downward trend? What more can be done?
Just engaging, the fire department's engaging their community. getting into the child cares, getting into the elementary schools and help educating the children, and then in every way that they can is to engage the community and talk about the basics of fire alarms, close before you doze, fire drills, so that we have families actually doing those things. We need our fire departments to be out in the community and continuing to educate.
What is one thing you wish every Hoosier understood about fire safety?
That the fire can happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Our biggest advocates are the ones who have had fires in their home because they never envisioned how dangerous, how scary those situations are. Is that we have fires all the time in the state of Indiana. And the people that realize how dangerous it is are the ones that have already had the fire. I want people to understand when that smoke alarm goes off, everybody needs to get out, and maintain smoke alarms. Make it a habit to close your bedroom doors. Make it a habit to have fire drills with your family. It's just not something that we just talk about. We want our moms and dads and our kids to be actively involved in those types of activities.
What would you say if to someone who has like nothing prepared, they're just starting off fresh, how would you suggest they make a fire safety plan?
I believe on our website we've got those types of materials to create your exit plan in your home. Contact your local fire department and they can help you look at your house and figure out what is the best way to get out, especially a two-story home. If you got a two-story home, emergency ladders are important. They can make that a lot safer and easier to get off the second floor window if the fire is downstairs. So reach out to either us at the State Fire Marshal's office or their local fire departments, and we'll be glad to help them to put something together.
So I know we've talked about a lot of messages and a lot of things, but if you could leave listeners with one key message to take into 2025, what would it be?
I think that the key message is, again, back to the basics of smoke alarms and fire drills. It sounds simple, and so simple, a lot of people just don't pay much attention to their smoke alarms. Or doing fire drills. It's like, well, why should, it seems like it's pretty simple. But for senior citizens, whenever they can't move very fast, they need to really be particular about the things that they're doing. Many times it's a space heater. Just maintaining safe things in the home to make for sure that we prevent the fire from even occurring. I know we saw a little bit of a decrease this last year, but from my perspective, it's not good enough because many of these fires either were preventable because they were space heaters, or they were people on oxygen that were smoking, or it was the smoke detectors didn't activate.
What is the cause of smoking while oxygen? What happens to cause that fire?
Oxygen enhances their burning process, and so the people that are on oxygen, it enhances fire, and so the fire travels right down the tubing of the oxygen they're on, and many times it's the person that gets burned, and and that's pretty much it. And when you're elderly, burns are pretty significant. And it's all right there at your airway.
Gotcha.
And airway burns are, they're critical. They're critical burns. And so we really need to people practice fire safety whenever you're on in-home oxygen.
Gotcha. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Just community involvement. We have over 800,000 fire weapons in the state of Indiana. Our fire engines are on the road 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have sirens going all the time in the state of Indiana, responding to fires. Fires happen all the time, and we want our Indiana residents to be prepared because your smoke alarm can go off at 2 o'clock in the morning. We want your children to know what they should be doing. We want the adults to be able to respond appropriately. And if you have the ability to upgrade your smoke detectors to have them interconnected so that all of them are going off, everybody hears it, everybody gets out of the house. The firefighter's job is much easier when everybody's out of the house. When we pull up and somebody's inside of the house, our firefighters put themselves at great risk trying to make a rescue. And we just want people to react appropriately because these simple things that they can do save lives.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
I hope that if we meet again in 2026, we see a decrease again in fire fatalities.
I appreciate you having me with you today.
All right. Thank you so much, Marshall.
All right.
Fire safety is not just about numbers. It is about lives saved and families protected. As we heard from Fire Marshal Steve Jones, Indiana has made progress, but there is still work to be done. Fire prevention starts at home with simple life-saving habits. Now is the perfect time to check your smoke alarms, update your fire escape plan, and take small steps that could make a big difference. For more fire safety resources and information, visit getprepared.in.gov. Thank you for listening to Hoosier Homeland. This podcast has been a production of the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. If you enjoyed this episode, our full catalog can be found on Spotify, YouTube, and Pandora. To listen to previous episodes, go to on.in.gov/Hoosier Homeland. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Indiana DHS. We will see you in the next episode. Until then, stay informed, stay prepared, and take control of your safety.